Hello, what's up, traders? Welcome back to another episode of our Chat Insights, where I come to show you market analysis based on where I'm seeing opportunity. If this is your very first time that you are joining us here, you may want to subscribe to this channel so you will always get content like this. And also, we have a YouTube community where I shared my entry details as to when I'm entering these markets and my trade management techniques that I apply while I'm on a trade. If you want to join, there's a link in the description of this video. Then you may want to join our Telegram community. I drop signal there for free. There's no charges to that. So in today's episode, we want to look at some market that I'm spotting some opportunity on. So I have here with me some few pairs, about 7 of them thereabouts. So I'm going to be explaining to us what I plan to do if the market should present some certain scenario that I'm expecting. And the opposite of that is my contingency approach. If the market fails to play out what I'm expecting, if it does otherwise, so what are the things that I'm going to do as well? So let's dive right into the video. And first off, that we have on our screen here, we have the chart of GBP/USD. If we have a look at this GBP/USD, of course we are seeing that GBP/USD for a long time we've been in a bearish trend, but about some couple of years back we approached a support level, which is a major level for GBP/USD to continue drifting lower. We have this level that has acted previously as a support, and then we have it here again that is currently holding price back up. And one thing about the market is that if it's bounced from a particular zone, then we are looking to attract the next zone. And the next zone that GBP/USD is looking attractive to is this level right here. So we have been strongly pushing to the upside, and this market is very obvious to us that this is where this market is heading to. And the next question now is that how can we capitalize on a trading opportunity for us to still take this market all the way up? So we need to narrow it down to various time frames to look at structure before we jump on a trade. So on my monthly chart, we have a monthly high that has been cleared. We have a monthly high that has been cleared, which is these points. So these points, and if you look at market structure, this is a break of structure to the upside. But before we even continue going higher, one thing that we are so sure of in the market is that retracement is always bound to happen. So we expect price to come back to this break of structure point to retest this level before we even continue the push higher. So let's look to the weekly chart to have more insight, to have more view as to how candlesticks are really moving from this level. Okay, so on the weekly charts, we will look at this. We will see the price has been pushing upward in a bullish market structure scenario. And if you look at this is the break of that monthly high that we have, which led to the break of structure that we have to this push. So what I'm expecting on GBP/USD is that I'm expecting a retracement before we have this push to the upside. So I'm expecting a retracement on GBP/USD before we capitalize on that buy movement. So if we switch more to daily charts, day charts now show us more candlestick, and so we can see how the waves of the market is moving. So looking at the waves of the market, we can apply our trend line. We can apply our trend line like this. So with this, I'm expecting the price to pull back to this trend line, or maybe price can even come back to this point before we now have that push to the upside. So if price should drop down and push upward, price can come and give us something that we may call the double bottom for those who trade chart patterns. So we can have what we expect to be a double bottom pattern for the continuation movement to the upside. So our entry is usually on the 4-hour or the 1-hour chart. So that is where I take my entry. I always take my entry from the 4-hour or the 1-hour time frame. So from this point here now, I'm expecting a pullback. I'm expecting a pullback down to the trend line. I'm expecting a pullback down to the trend line. And also, let's see, we can apply our fib. We can apply our fib. So if price can come back to the golden level of this fib, if price can come back to the golden level of the fib, let me use this too. So if price can come back here, or alternatively, I will actually prefer it to come further down. So maybe to this 79 level, then before we have a rally to the upside. And note, before I take my trade, this price already gave me reason to draw what I called a counter trend line. So this is my counter trend line like this. I will only be willing to take a buy trade if price should break above this counter trend. But if you are still below, there's no reason to buy yet. That is what I have for you on GBP USD. So I'm actually bullish on GBP USD. I'm bullish on GBP USD. So let's have the similar look alike of that, which is Euro USD. Let's take it from the higher picture as well. Euro USD on the 3-month charts, we also have this price pushing upward. So this also telling us that the market, we're expecting it to pull back up to 1.2300. There's a round figure here. There's a round figure there. So that is where we are expecting. Now we can see that the previous 3 months was very, very bullish. So down to the monthly chart, to give more meaning to this, we have a minor level here on the monthly chart that price is currently reacting to. And we have a very long impulsive move on Euro USD compared to what we have seen on GBP USD. But from the monthly look here, the question is, before we have this rally to the upside, can we have a deep retracement before we rally upward, or price may just continue and then push further to the upside? So let's take it further to the weekly chart to see how the candlesticks are reacting. So on the weekly chart, we have structure in play. We have higher highs, higher lows, and price is currently at higher high points, which also we need to see retracement. And if you look at the last week candlestick, we closes as a shooting star candlestick, which made us understand that sellers are already stepping in this market. So at least maybe from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's likely we see retracement. So I will actually be looking at retracement to this region. I'll be looking at retracements at this region. So let me change the color for this. Yeah, I'll be looking at retracements to this region, and if I bring my fib, that's my possibly line up with a fib level. Yes, perfect. So here now you can see it lines up between the 50% fib level and the golden level zone. So going into the new week, I'm expecting Euro USD to retrace back down. You know, GBP USD too, we are also expecting a retracement back down before we have that push to the upside. So one thing that I notice here is that we can capitalize on the drop. We can capitalize on the drop. On the day charts now, we can see that candlestick for buys already weakening. So the last day candlestick, which was Friday candlestick, closes as a shooting star. I'm expecting this market for a retracement. So we can capitalize on retracement of this market. But before we take the retracement, I want to see this to break, because I don't want to jump in on a premature trade If price can break below this counter trend line, then we should have reason to jump on a sell trade. So we can take a sell trade if we have price rejecting. If price should reject below that trend line, then we can take a sell trade for retracement back down. So Euro USD, we are bullish as well, but we only want to capitalize on the movement to the downside. The one on GBP USD is not really looking juicy to take the sell, but the one on Euro USD look nice to take the sell trade. So we are going to sell before we see that exact movement of bullish trend. And also I have this one on NZUSD. I don't really like the kind of structure. So let's look at USD card. On USD card, this market on the higher time frame structure, we are bearish. We've tested a key zone on the 3-month chart where price has been rejecting for so many years. And if you look at the past 9-month candlestick, this one representing 333, that is 9 months. So for the past 9 months now, we have a candlestick pattern, which is an evening star indicating selling bias. So we are seeing that the sellers want to come into this market, and where did they want to push this market to? They want to push it further down. So I'm expecting USD card overall to push further down. This is telling us that dollar is really weak, but before we push further down, there are some levels we need to pay attention to as well. So let's look at the monthly chart. Let me delete this thing first so we can get the idea. So on the monthly chart, we have this range before we eventually have the break. So what we were expecting before was that we should have a pushback back to this level before we continue pushing higher, but the sellers were so strong and they keep drifting this market to the downside. Now that we are back inside of this zone, we had a very strong push. Here we expect price to retrace back up to test this level before we continue pushing downward again. So we move to the weekly charts. So if you look at the weekly charts now, the market's already moving in bearish structure. We're already seeing bearish structure in play. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. We expect this market to continue pushing further to give us continuous lows and lower highs. But something happened on the day chart. This market is currently having a pause. So this was the line I drew before I delete it back. So this level here is where we have this market that is holding at the moment, and it is so much possible this price hold, maybe not. Of course, it is when the market open. Based on that, that's when we are now going to react. So this might hold as a possible double bottom, and if it hold as a double bottom, we expect this market to have a retracement, maybe a bigger retracement back to this top before we can now see that massive collapse. So USD card, we are actually bearish, but currently we may have a pause for the bearish move. Buyers may step in to push the market up for retracement, or alternatively, if price keep further pushing downward, then we are still going down. Note, before we take buy rather, we want to see trend break. This trend line should break to the upside, retest, then we can say we want to take a buy movement to the upside. This is what we need to see before we take a buy trade. But if this is not showing, then there's definitely not a buy trade. So USD card, on a short-term base, we want to take a buy trade, but the long-term view for this market is bearish. So if on the other flip the market drops lower, so we need to see continuation for a bearish move. But I'm likely considering a buy. I'm thinking dollar may want to gain some strength when we open next week, so we might have price to push up for retracement before we eventually have that our normal trend to continue. That is that on USD card. I am having similar thing on USD CHF as well. Now USD CHF is currently doing something very interesting. USD CHF on the 3-month charts has approached a major level on the 3-month chart. This level is not looking so well here. Let me show us on the monthly chart. Yeah, so on the monthly chart we have this level that has held before 2011, and now price has just find its way down here. And of course we don't expect price to just break this point easily. We need to hold a bit. So from this point here, the buyers may step in for price to keep rising upward. You can see last week candlestick we reject from that zone, giving us some sort of like a pin back candlestick. And on the day charts, we are already seeing bearish exhaustion in the market. So the price here may also want to pull back. That is why I'm expecting a strong dollar next week. So we may have a push back here too before we continue moving downward. And also if price should break above here, if price should break above this level, then we may want to see dollar gaining back its strength. But currently now I'm seeing a pullback. A pullback is expected to happen rather. So on the 4 hours chart, how can we capitalize on this trade? Before we can take this trade, now look at structure on the 4 hours chart. We are already seeing change in this structure. We're already seeing change. We have this push up, a push down. This push is supposed to continue pushing this market lower, but then now we have a high. This is price retesting this level, so I'm expecting a continuation movement to the upside on USD CHF. So we can have a minor level on our 4-hour chart drawn like this. So I can have that like this, and if I want to use the Fib, I can just use my Fibonacci from this low to this high. So that is price at 50% Fib level, and we are rejecting from there. So our entry now will be that if you want to take our entry on this 4-hour chart, then we need to wait to see candle confirmation, or price may drop lower. So let's go to the 1-hour time frame. The 1-hour time frame will have given us reasons to draw our counter trend line. Sorry, the network is holding up a bit. Okay. So on the 1-hour chart, we can have this, we can have our counter trend like this. So when we have a push up, if we should have a push up from this counter trend line, we are expecting to take a buy trade. We're expecting to take a buy trade when we have a push up on this zone, expecting to take a buy trade back to this level. So this is how I will be monitoring these pairs for the new week we are going. But if all of these that I'm seeing are not showing out, then I may want to switch side. So if you want to know when I want to switch side, you want to join the Telegram link below. Join us there. You are going to see what I'm expecting to do if I'm going to switch at all. So USD CHF, I'm bullish on USD CHF, and also I have CAD JPY. On CAD JPY, I posted this on my X page. You may want to join me there too. I post chart analysis, but this is yet to fully ripe. We took a trade in the Telegram community. We did make profits. So we saw these chart patterns. Let's go to the weekly chart. We saw this price reacting at this level, and there's a chart pattern here. This chart pattern is signaling a buy movement, and we have a break retest of this level. So we expect this market to continue pushing higher. So I'm expecting CAD JPY to push higher. So currently we have this level holding up. So we need to see this level break. We need to see this level break, retest back, and then we are targeting this nearest minor resistance for buy movement. So this one is just very short on CAD JPY. It's yet to give us a definite movement. And lastly, we have gold. Gold, I'm bullish on gold. Gold is bullish. Looking at the monthly chart, we are bullish. However, we don't just need to be carried away. Gold has been rejecting from the all-time high of 3,500, from 3,500, but we still have this long-term trend line holding gold. You can see last week we came bullish. For those who understand candlestick pattern, this candlestick pattern is what we call the bullish Aramic candlestick, which also is signaling a buy movement to the upside. So I'm expecting gold to still continue its rally to the upside. So we have this trend line break. We are currently retesting this trend line for a continuation move. And the structure on the daily chart is already shifting. We're already shifting from this bearish sentiment, a lower low, a lower low, lower high, lower low. So we take out this last lower high. Price came back for a retest and giving us some sort of inverse head and shoulder chart pattern. If you look at the 4 hour, we have it showing well here. You can see inverse head and shoulder chart pattern. So from here now, gold, I'm expecting a bullish movement on gold too. Expecting a bullish movement. So we take a buy when we have a break above. We take a buy when we have a break above. I would actually like to take it here. I would like to take that gold trade there. Then my stop loss may be somewhere around like this. So this on gold, I would like to see maybe the 4 hour candlestick. Then I'm targeting this high. So this is almost a ratio 4 on gold. So gold, I'm bullish on gold. So these are just the pair that I spotting opportunity on in the new week that we want to go into. If you enjoy this content, do well to like this video, and if you have anything you may want to ask, you can use the comment section to ask your question. Subscribe to this channel if you are yet to do so, and I wish us well a profitable week ahead. Peace.